that's me, Riddle. Back here with Doki-Doki Literature Club plus Side Stories, where we may or may not be entering our final one here, depending on if there's another one right after this or not, which I do not know if that is the thing. Can't think of any preamble. Let's begin this. We ended off, Yuri was writing a letter to Natsuki at the end of the last one, so we basically just cut off right before we got to see what happened with that. But it looks like we're about to get into that right now. Oh, I'm so excited for this. I'm also sad it's going to be over, though. It's only been one day since Yuri's letter was delivered to Natsuki with Monika's help. Because Yuri chose not to attend the club meeting that day, she and Natsuki haven't faced each other since. It's lucky that Natsuki was there, actually. Although it's only lunchtime, Yuri finds herself anxiously counting the hours until she will need to face the outcome of her efforts, whether good or bad. And because the passing by of students was making her feel even more anxious, Yuri picked out the most secluded spot she could find to spend her lunch. Poor gal. Because this staircase is under maintenance, no student would have any reason for coming here. In a high school? It's such a relaxing feeling to have a moment of solitude in the middle of a frantic school day. What are you doing here? I just... Yuri grips her book with enough force to wrinkle the pages beneath the pressure of her thumbs. Well, what are you doing here? I just came to get a drink from the vending machine. The other one's out of the drink I like. Yuri notices Natsuki fidgeting with a few coins between her fingers. She nods, avoiding eye contact. Natsuki, also looking away, shuffles over to the vending machine. It's so quiet that every one of her movements seems to reverberate through the entire stairwell. After far too long, she finally receives her beverage, which she then fidgets with in the place of the coins. It's some kind of iced tea. But instead of leaving right away, Natsuki just stands in place. She glances all around her. It's like way too quiet back here. It's creepy. I mean, that's not what I meant, really. I mean... It's totally cool that it's your thing, or whatever. Like, I can see how it suits you, so... Not because I think you're creepy or anything. I didn't mean that either. You know, I'm just gonna stop talking. That seems like a good idea. And it's okay. Everything is okay. Yuri finds herself attempting some words of comfort after hearing Natsuki stammer herself into dejection. Seemingly in response, Natsuki approaches the base of the staircase and hesitantly sits herself down near Yuri. Well, I can leave if you want. Yuri shakes her head. Natsuki twists the cap of a drink and takes her a sip. Just the whole thing in one cup. Despite receiving Yuri's general permission, Natsuki doesn't say anything more. Yuri continues to read, or at least pretends to. And the two just sit there for a long time. The tension seems to fade a little bit as time passes. Even without any words, this seems to mean at least something, though it's not clear what that may be. Lunch ends more quickly than expected. Natsuki is the first to stand up with her empty drink bottle. Are you coming today? To the club? Yuri nods. I'm sorry for being so awkward. I'm really bad at talking about this stuff. I just can't for some reason. I don't know why. But I want to. Eventually. There's no rush. I promise. Thanks. It's weird how this is very much like in some ways, the ultimate one, because it's like both of them are perfect candidates for the club, because the whole point is that it'd be a place where your interests are taken seriously, and then that gives you joy, and you get to write the way into your heart, lardy-blar. Although we haven't done very much writing recently. I mean, as the club activity anyways. It's more been personal stuff. It's the next day. Natsuki appears from around the corner and steps up to the vending machine, glancing at Yuri as she does so. Today she seems to be holding some kind of books as well. Books or book? Book as well, sorry. Ah, you're here again. Well, I just came here to read this, because there aren't any people around here. Huh? I thought you didn't like how quiet it was. Well, I don't, but there's no people here. I see. Natsuki sits down. The mood feels much different today than it did yesterday. After yesterday's lunch and the club meeting that followed, Natsuki and Yuri are beginning to feel more relaxed around each other again. Although Yuri's letter is still lingering in the back of Natsuki's mind, she continues to detour around it. But it's okay that I'm here? Yeah, I don't care. I mostly just don't feel like dealing with the crap I get from my friends about it. Especially since, like, they all just assumed I stopped reading manga after I joined the literature club. Not that I'm trying to hide it from them exactly, but I just don't want it to come up again now after I've waited so long for this new volume to come out. It literally months at this point. You don't have other friends who are into manga? Not unless online friends count. And Sayuri, but that's different because she's not exactly into it. She just likes it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Honestly, you're lucky that the books you're into at least just look like books, so you don't have to feel like everyone is constantly judging you by what you're reading. That would be so awful. Especially since I already hate attention so much. Well, it's a good thing I have thick skin, I guess. By the way, I would totally recommend finding some friends online if you haven't already. If you're like me and have no one to share your hobbies with. No, I have online friends. Since middle school, actually. I was especially desperate back then. It's somewhat embarrassing to reminisce about those days. Sometimes I feel like the me from a few years ago would have benefited from a good smack across the face. I know the feeling. Sometimes I feel like me from this morning could benefit from a good smack across the face. Whatever. We were all just stupid kids back then anyways. Some of the fanfics I wrote, thank God I used a pseudonym. But I liked it at the time. Got a lot of fulfillment out of it. And plus, I can look back and say with confidence that I've become a better person since then. So I don't think I would change anything. I wonder if a few years from now we'll think the same thing about our current selves. Probably. That doesn't make you uncomfortable? No, of course not. I don't care what other people think of me. Especially someone who doesn't even exist yet. Alright, here. Natsuki raises her hand to her face and forcefully slaps her own cheek. That's for me from the future, coming to terms with me right now. Also, ow, I didn't mean to do it that hard. Yuri doesn't seem to react, but then to Natsuki's surprise, Yuri shyly looks the other way before lifting her arm and doing the same thing to herself, loudly smacking her cheek. Ah! I'm just doing it for the role, man. She turns red and stares into her lap, but is unable to hide a smile as though it was a really funny joke. I mean, I thought it was pretty funny. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't know you had it in you. I don't even know why I did that. Maybe I thought it would be funny. Sorry, I keep distracting you. You said you were looking forward to reading, but I keep going on about all this nonsense. I'll let you get to your reading. Oh, right. Yeah, I guess I'll do that then. The conversation ends quickly and Natsuki opens her book. The two read silently for the remainder of the lunch hour. But the whole time, Yuri feels distracted by a twist of regret over having so abruptly forced the end of their conversation. Oh, she just got overwhelmed. Now she's feeling like an asshole about it, even though it's not her fault. On the one hand, this makes me really happy, but on the other hand, it also gets me so sad because these people are they beat themselves up over so much stuff. Which, I mean, real people do too. I do that over stuff that I really shouldn't. Or I do it for longer than I should anyways. In the middle of something like that, kind of right now. And it keeps fucking distracting me. I wish my brain would shut up so I can read the anime. I need to read the anime. You're back. Yeah, I'm here to lay low again. Another day has passed. During lunchtime, Natsuki finds herself having wandered to the stairwell once more. Hey, did you buy that? Natsuki quickly potises a noddle. Jeez, where's your head? I mean, I know where my head is. It's distracted. Undistract! Natsuki quickly notices a bottle of iced tea on the staircase, which she normally sits. Yuri nods, avoiding eye contact. What, like for me? But you didn't know I was coming here today. What if I didn't show up? Well, I would have drank it myself, I guess. It was a stupid thing to do. No, it wasn't stupid. I just thought... Never mind. What I meant to say is thank you. And that it's a really nice gesture. It's okay if you don't feel that way. I do. If it was the other things that I didn't mean. I swear. Please believe me. Yuri pauses, then nods. Talking is hard. I get it wrong a lot too. So I believe you. Talking is hard. I get it wrong a lot. Could be the title of this entire series. Natsuki exhales in relief. She then sits down next to Yuri and takes the drink. Knowing Yuri, she was probably overthinking it so much that Natsuki's tepid response filled her with self-doubt. I'll do something nice for you next time. Please, don't feel obligated. I want to. I want to do nice things too. Okay. Thank you. You can thank me after I figure out how to do something nice. I'll do it then too. Natsuki sighs. Nothing. It just... reminds me about how I haven't been getting along with my friends lately. Is that why you've been coming here? Well, no, not exactly. I haven't been avoiding them on purpose or anything. There are just other things I'd rather be doing during lunch lately. I like being around them when we're all just having fun, but they also just can't take anything seriously. So when I'm, feeling serious, then their attitudes just really get on my nerves. It's only gotten worse ever since I joined the literature club. How come? I don't know. I feel like I used to be really good with just putting up with it because it would be so stupid to cause drama over a joke I didn't like or something. Sounds like your experiences in the club may have opened your eyes a little to the fact that people have been treating you unfairly and you don't have to take it, really. The way I said that sounded kind of accusational. I meant the entire opposite thing. I meant I'm proud and supportive of that evolution of your mind. All right, I'm going to shut up and read the rest of it now. I just have a hard time doing that lately. But it's my fault for being overly sensitive. If I have a problem, I'm not going to demand for everyone around me to change. But Yeah, I know. Monica and Sayori don't really agree with that kind of thing. But they're not in my position, so it's easy for them to say that you should just communicate your feelings or whatever. It's not like my friend group does that kind of thing. I would just be making an embarrassment of myself. Sorry, none of this has anything to do with you. I don't know what I'm talking about it. It's okay. I like listening. What? Listening to other people's problems? Yes. That's weird. Sorry. I just like learning about people. Do you think it's weird? No, that's not weird. I probably just misunderstood, so I don't know. Does that mean I should keep going? If you'd like. Okay. Well, I don't know what to talk about now. What are some things that you like about your friends? A lot of things. I mean, they're really fun to hang out with, like after school and on the weekends, and they really like my baking, and it's fun to complain about school together. They make me laugh a lot, and we have a lot of good memories and inside jokes. Oh. I'm bad at a lot of those things. So? Are those all things that are important to you? Well, kind of, but they're not things that I need to get out of everybody. Everyone in the club is really different from that, but I'm still friends with them too. Well, Sayori really likes your baking. And she makes you laugh. And she complains a lot. That doesn't mean she's anything like my other friends. Well, unlike them, she's a nice person who cares about your feelings. Excuse me? How about you don't talk that way about my friends that you don't know anything about? Natsuki stands up. No, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't want to say something bad. Please don't leave. Natsuki sighs and shakes her head. It's fine. As long as you understand that you can't just judge people like that. I'm sorry. Natsuki sits back down. You can't just compare friends like that and then, measure who's better than who. Everyone's different. I'm sorry. I just don't like people who want to hurt you. A moment of silence stretches between them. Dang! They don't want to hurt me. We just like to tease each other about stupid things. It's fun. I don't like that. Well, that's why I'm friends with them and you're not. You like it? Just don't worry so much about me. It's not worth it. I'm sorry. I wish I knew how to help with social conflicts, like how Monica can. She's good at these things. Not really. Also, I don't always want help. Sometimes it's just stuff I have to deal with myself. That's what Monica and Sayori never seem to understand. Sometimes all you do is look at them wrong and they're all like, oh, what's wrong? Everything okay? I just want to mind my own business sometimes and decide myself if I want to talk about things. The only one who understands that is you. So you really shouldn't be so hard on yourself. You're not as bad as you think. Oh, you don't need to reassure me or anything. I mean that. Plus, it makes sense that someone who doesn't talk a lot would make a good listener. Thank you. You're also nice. It's really hard for me. It doesn't come naturally at all. It's so weird because I always thought of myself as someone who can just say whatever's on my mind. But I feel like that only works when I'm annoyed or upset or I want to say something mean. Why am I like that? You don't have to answer that. I'm just talking to myself. Yuri nods and remains silent. Natsuki notices her fidgeting with the pages of her book. How come you like reading so much? Oh, well, a lot of reasons. But I just get sucked into it so easily. It's so immersive. Like I want to be a part of it. I think there are a lot of things about people in real life that make me feel uncomfortable and frustrated. Especially when it comes to following social conventions and group interactions. I was thinking about this myself. There's something liberating about fiction because the people in there don't know you at all, so they have no idea of all the horrible, horrible mistakes you've made in your life, and therefore they're not likely to judge you for them or be hurt by them. For all they know, you're a really good person. Especially when it comes to following social conventions and group interactions. I just don't really understand it, and I have no real desire to participate. But it's different with books. I feels like I always want to be around the characters. I feel such a strong emotional connection with them in ways that I've never felt with real people. So, in that way, it can sometimes feel more real than real life. Really? It's that hard for you to be around people? Like, all the time? Fairly often. Especially in group settings. When people are making all kinds of conversation and saying jokes and all that, I don't know what to do and I just disengage. Oh, That doesn't get lonely? I don't think so. I can still enjoy spending time with people one-on-one, and I have online friends too, of course. Do you ever wish that you could be friends with the characters in your books? All the time. Sometimes so badly that it makes my heart ache. Yeah. Me too. Really? Mm-hmm. A lot. That's really sad. Like, more than anything. After Natsuki mutters that, silence fills the stairwell once more, but it's a mutual silence, one full of understanding. And trust and respect and balance. Sorry, I'm not cutting with thoughts as frequently here. Just things are all coming to a head here, and it's sort of all. This feels like the thesis of what's all going on. So I feel like I want to. I'm getting a little absorbed. Sorry about that. Yay. Oh, hello. I almost thought you weren't coming today. Yeah, well, lunch is already more than halfway over. Natsuki had typically been meeting Yuri in the stairwell much earlier, since it had been a good way of dodging for her friends when she didn't feel like seeing them. That sentence I said a little bit like my mouth was full of gravel, sorry. Today she's holding a large plastic container in both hands. I ran into my friends, so I hung out with them for a while. Is that so? Full of cupcakes, is that plastic container? Yeah. I was in a good mood today, so I figured I should. I hadn't seen them in a while, which I had to come up with an excuse for, but I expected that. Plus I have way more of these than I know what to do with, so I figured I would share it with them too. As she sits down, Natsuki opens the lid of her container. You made cupcakes. You know it. It's been a while at this point, so I figured it was about time again. You can take one if you want. Yuri takes the cupcake and carefully twirls it between her fingers. It's brown with dark green frosting, immaculately shaped into a floral pattern and topped with some kind of glittery powder. How the hell did it keep a floral pattern when it was in a Tupperware thing and that she carried to school? How pretty. I just ate, so I may not be able to finish it. Are they for the club? Yeah, I guess so. I didn't really think about it, I just made them. I just thought that because green is Monica's favorite color, right? You know, I somehow had that impression. I thought maybe it was just because the color of her eyes, but I always associated Monica with green for one reason or another. Yeah, but that's not really... Yuri takes a small bite. This is green tea flavored. I love green tea. Ah, do you? It was just a random idea I wanted to try, so... Don't laugh at me. I'm not. I just felt happy. Oh, sorry. Usually when... never mind. What I mean is that I'm glad. Sorry for saying dumb things again. I just wanted to do something nice. And this is something I happen to be good at. And I do know that you like them from past experience. Yuri turns red, recalling the time she treated herself rather generously to Natsuki's cupcakes. Ironically, her mouth is too full of cupcake for her to stammer an excuse, so she just settles for a disapproving look. Disapproving? Of Natsuki? Wait, what? How did you get into baking? Oh, well, I don't know. It just kind of always appealed to me. Well, a few years ago I read this one manga with a lot of baking, so I got super into it for a while. I was probably making stuff almost every day. But it's something like I always knew I liked anyway. It's like... baking is like art, but when you get good at it, it gets more delicious, too. I'm struggling to imagine myself putting my heart into something so artistic, knowing that it would just be eaten afterwards. Yeah, maybe you're too practical for it. I think I prefer to be around the receiving end. That's my other favorite part about it. It's something I can do that makes a lot of people happy, like unconditionally. Everyone is always so thankful, and in that one moment you get to be like the bringer of joy. I don't know, it just makes me feel... valued? Yeah, I guess that. So, you were able to make up with your friends today? Well, there wasn't anything really to make up with them about. We weren't fighting or anything. You weren't? Maybe I misunderstood. It only turns into a fight if I lose my cool, and that's just unnecessary drama. It only makes things worse. So, they're not going to stop. I mean, it only happens sometimes anyway. It's just the way they are. I'm not the only one who ever has a problem with it. It's not worth it. Especially since I have somewhere to go now, and when I don't feel like hanging out with them. Oh. I see. The cupcake's empty foil wrapper audibly cranks as Yuri clenches a fist. I'm glad that the situation is resolved, and that you don't have to avoid them anymore. Yeah. Me too. And I don't have to bother you during your alone time anymore. I'm sure you have a lot of reading to catch up on. Yeah. I know that... that cupcakes are basically nothing compared to all the stuff you've done for me, but it's the best I can do. So, you can have the rest of them. Natsuki grabs the box and slides it over to Yuri's feet. Yuri stares at the box, then she shakes her head and slides them back. You should save them for your other friends. But I made them for you. Natsuki's voice whines as she protests. I know. And I like them very much, exactly as you thought. You succeeded. But I know you care about making your other friends happy too. And if this is the way you know how to make that happen, then I'm not going to take it from you. No! They were for making you happy. You make me happy. You're worth more than cupcakes to some people. That's why they want to spend time with you and be your friend. Without warning, tears pour from Natsuki's eyes. She pulls her knees to her chest and starts sobbing into her arms. Natsuki?
Such a bad person.
Yuri stammers, feeling panicked. I didn't mean to say something bad. Natsuki shakes her head and wipes her eyes.
You didn't.
Natsuki tries to choke back her sobs, but struggles to speak through them.
I just really hate myself sometimes. And it feels so wrong when you say those nice things to me, like I don't deserve it.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm so difficult, and I can't think of even a single thing about myself that somebody would like. And I hated myself for bothering you during lunch. I just thought it was my chance to be a good person, like to be nice and do the things you wrote about in the letter. I knew if I tried in the club, Sayuri and Monica would be super annoying and make a huge deal out of it.
You know, I think a lot of those negative things, too, about myself. I never felt like a good person. I always scrutinize everything I say, and later I feel like I said all the wrong things. And I just spend so much time thinking about myself, hating myself, and feeling like everyone else must hate me too. So, I understand some of that through my own experience. And that's why I wanted to write the letter and express my feelings. It pained me to see those things in someone else that I saw in myself. Natsuki sniffles. Yuri rustles through her bag and pulls out some tissues and then hands them to Natsuki. Monica told me that it takes a good person to reflect on these things. The desire to improve yourself, that makes you a good person. So don't worry so much. Also, there are things about you that people would like. So, like what? Like how you're fun for people to be around, and you're not shy, and you know how to make people laugh, and you're very passionate about things, and you know how to take the lead, and you care a lot about other people, and just a lot of things. Oh. Well, now you're making me feel really embarrassed. Well, you're the one who asked, and don't you think I feel embarrassed? Natsuki tries to hide a smile, then she sighs as it fades again. Every time I come here, I always think it's the last time, but then I keep coming back for some reason. Is that bad? Just really confusing. I mean, my friends and I go way back, so ditching them all the time feels like... I don't know. Feels like what? Natsuki's voice gets quiet. Maybe I'm scared that they'll get mad at me. I really don't know what to do. She pauses. Yuri stares into the distance, tracing her eyes along the patterns of the floor tiles while she thinks to herself. What would you do, hypothetically, if your friends were happy for you instead of mad at you? Happy for what? Happy that your new club is making you happy. Well, that's just not a fair hypothetical. Natsuki says that, but with little confidence in her voice. I always told myself that I don't rely on the approval of others to be happy. And I still feel that way, but I'm spending time with people who put me down whenever I don't have their approval. That's probably what's making me feel so confused, because I'm threatened out of the things that should make me happy. So no matter what, it's like I have to be unhappy to be happy. It's making my head hurt. That must make it really difficult to feel comfortable with yourself, being made to feel like you're wrong just for being the person you are. It really goes against everything I believe in, doesn't it? It goes against the kind of person I want to be. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with a lot of things. Natsuki presses her palms into her forehead and shakes her head. I know what's best for me, but I keep convincing myself out of it. It's so much easier to be comfortably unhappy than it is to do something so scary. To do what? You know, to end it. With them? Natsuki nods. I didn't think you were actively considering that as an option. I wasn't.
until recently. It's just one of those things where, like, it's been a certain way for so long that you just get used to it. Like, so much of you has gone into it, so much that it feels like that's just how your life is. And throwing it away is like throwing away such a big part of your life. It makes me feel sick to think about. Natsuki sighs. It's just really scary. It's terrifying. What are you scared of? I don't know. A lot of things. Like being alone, not having anyone to talk to or hang out with, not being able to replace what I have with them. And I don't want them to hate me, and I'm scared that they'll hurt me for going against them. Physically? Not physically, but... Yuri clenches her fists. Natsuki. What? If anyone even thinks to cause you harm, I will unleash hell upon them. Natsuki snorts in laughter. Don't laugh at me. Sorry. I liked that. That's all. Oh. Well, I meant it. I know you did. Natsuki gives Yuri an endearing look. I needed it. As the conversation lapses, Natsuki again slides her box of cupcakes over to Yuri. This is great, I just want to say that, because I haven't said anything non-dialogue in a while. Just take them, okay? I don't want other people to have them anymore. Are you sure? Natsuki nods. I'm sure. I will then. I'll enjoy them. Natsuki looks away, but a feeling of warmth spreads through her. She holds on to that feeling, knowing it will give her courage. Ah, you were here first today. And you brought reading material. Natsuki is sitting in her usual spot, this time holding a volume of manga while her lunch sits beside her. Yuri sits down as well and opens her own book. Sucks when a good series has to come to an end. Oh, don't you say that to me on the last one. That's just mean. Like, it's such a big part of your life, and then one day there's just nothing left. Makes you feel so empty. Unfortunately, I'm about to experience that myself. I'm on the last book of this series. That sucks. But there's also something satisfying about letting a story conclude. I don't know if I'd want it to go on forever. Maybe. But there are some things that I wish could. On the other hand, have you ever read something that overstayed its welcome? Yeah, definitely. I can think of at least one thing that I've read that got pretty unbearable like halfway through and the ending really sucked. So, it sucks when something good has to end, but it also sucks when they just keep inventing more plot until you don't like it anymore. I guess it sucks either way. Well, that's the nature of all things. They come to an end. The two fall silent. They slowly... I mean, obviously this is about their meetings here. This is partially what's being talked about here. But it feels like a jab at me also, is all I'm saying. I'm feeling a little defensive right about now. They slowly eat while making their way through their respective reading material. Except Natsuki doesn't seem to be touching her food at all. You don't go out during the weekends, right? Excuse me? Like with friends, at the mall or downtown or whatever. I'm a total shut-in, you know? Oh, my bad for making assumptions. Well, I'm sure I go out less often than other people, like you and the others in the club. I don't really meet with friends and arbitrarily spend time like that. I'm usually meeting with my board game group. Board game group? It doesn't matter, it's just more nerdy stuff. Why do you ask anyway? I was just curious. I just realized that I couldn't picture it, so I was just curious. Yuri looks at Natsuki and realizes that she's shaking. Don't look at me like that. Sorry. Natsuki pulls her knees into her chest and puts her head down. I can't take this. Did I do something? Yuri gets flustered, her mind racing over what she might have said or done. I did. I ended it. I texted them earlier, telling them. And then I just blocked them because I'm so afraid of their responses. Now it feels like I'm dying inside. Oh. That's... I'm sorry. Totally unsure of what to do, Yuri can barely find any words of support to offer. Meanwhile, the sound of Natsuki's unusually hard breathing fills the air. Then she speaks again, barely above a whisper. Help me. I feel sick and I want to hit my head against things. Please help, I can't take this. You may be having a panic attack. With that realization, Yuri's demeanor suddenly changes. I have experience with this, so I'll help you through it, okay? Natsuki meekly nods through her rapid breath, head still buried in her knees. Yuri slides herself over to Natsuki and sits on the step behind her. Then she puts her hands on Natsuki's shoulders. Can you feel my hands? Natsuki nods. Her shaking becomes much more apparent through Yuri's sense of touch. Yuri keeps her voice low and gentle. You're safe right now. You're in a good and safe place where nothing can hurt you. Natsuki nods once more. Although Yuri is only touching Natsuki's shoulder, she can practically feel her racing pulse through the base of her neck. We'll do a breathing exercise together. All you have to do is listen to my breaths and breathe along with me. Let's breathe in now. Yuri takes a deep, slow breath. Beneath her hands, she feels Natsuki's shoulders rise as Natsuki takes a breath of her own, trying to mimic Yuri. They exhale together, although Natsuki's breath shakes on the way out. That's good. Let's keep going. Yuri breathes in once more, and Natsuki joins her. They continue like that for a few more cycles while Yuri closely monitors. Eventually, Yuri feels Natsuki rest more of her weight into Yuri's palms. Let's focus on the physical world. All you have to do is focus on the feeling of your breaths going in and out, and the weight of my hands on your shoulders. You're in a safe and comfortable physical space. Minutes pass in silence. By now, the worst of it has passed, but Yuri is determined not to move away until Natsuki prompts her to. Meanwhile, Natsuki has lifted her head off her knees, and her breathing has mostly steadied. Then, she takes a final deep breath and slowly pulls herself to her feet, causing Yuri to let go. I just want to say quickly, I don't know for sure if I've ever had a panic attack, because how are you supposed to know if you've never felt one? But there was one time where it was, as I've ever heard of it described, as I think I was having one. And I'm not sure exactly what triggered it. I was in a lecture at university. I guess it was just I was just stressed out about the lecture content, but it was a really scary thing because I was just sitting in the middle of this huge lecture hall with 200 people. I guess that's the other thing is crowds don't really jive with me. So being able to see like 200 people in front of me, even though we were all just taking notes, was like really scary. But I just suddenly realized that I was like breathing really like shortly and like barely able to keep breath in my lungs for a while. And so I was just like, okay, it's weird. I'm just breathing weird. And so I kept trying to write, but it got to the point where I was shaking to the point where like I couldn't write, like to the point, like I'm not saying like it was a little ugly looking, like I was just writing up and down squiggles while I was trying to actually write words. I don't know that I did the right thing. I just got up and ran out of the class, and I guess that was a normal enough occurrence in university that no one thought it was weird. And I just ran back to my dorm and just lied down in bed, and I was like, all right, I don't know what's happening, but I'm gonna stop it right here. No, you know what? Actually, I remember I did. It was like the dead of winter, so I grabbed some snow off the ground and threw it in my face, and then I ran to my dorm room and just collapsed on the bed. And I was like, all right, don't move. I'm gonna get over this in a minute. And after that, it was fine. I didn't necessarily go to any more of those lectures, though, that year, which may have contributed to the terrible mark I got in that class. It was calculus. Who cares? I hate calculus. Anyways, all that to say, I find her saying help me to be a very believable sentiment in that situation, because it is very, very scary if I was having anything near what an actual panic attack was. Then she takes a final deep breath and slowly pulls herself to her feet, causing Yuri to let go. She stretches her arms. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to freak out. I don't know what my deal is. You don't have to apologize. This must be enormously stressful for you. Is that going to keep happening? It may or it may not. We can take measures to help prevent it in the future, but I think it will naturally get better over time. Natsuki motions to sit back down again, so Yuri moves over. Yuri turns away to pick up her open book from the dusty floor, which she had hastily set down earlier. She brushes the dust off the cover. I don't think I could have gotten through that alone. You're not alone. Feeling shy again, Yuri speaks into her own lap. From now on, you don't have to do anything alone. As she says that, Yuri tenses up. It's rare for her to so openly share her thoughts, but something about Natsuki, of all people, makes it feel so much more natural to do so. Perhaps because, like Yuri, Natsuki is so timid and uncertain of herself. Natsuki does such a good job at hiding it that it's taken a long time for Yuri to finally realize it, and because of that, Yuri is able to deliver the reassurance that she herself would have wanted, demonstrating that you deserve the love of others. If you can accept that for the first time, then perhaps you can begin the tumultuous journey of learning to love yourself. Oh, and you both deserve it so much. You really mean that? You're probably going to regret saying that if you do. How so? Because I'm probably going to have a lot of free time during the weekends from now on, so you're giving me permission to be as annoying as I want and drag you around a lot of places. I see. But you already said it, so you can't take it back now. Well, I suppose I have no choice but to accept that responsibility then. Mm-hmm. I know a good ice cream place. Oh? That means you've finally figured out my favorite ice cream flavor. Huh? What are you talking about? Oh, you don't remember? The first day that you came to the club, you guessed everyone's favorite ice cream flavor, but for me, you said you had no idea. Seriously? Yes, I remember. Monica, she guessed vanilla, and I think, but she was kind of half joking, and then Sayuri, strawberry or moose tracks or something? I can't remember. I don't remember that at all. Oh, wait, yes, I do. I said it was probably green tea. Yuri shakes her head. It's a good guess. My favorite is usually to get chocolate and raspberry together. Chocolate and raspberry? How fancy. How is that fancy? Oh, I don't know. I feel like I should have guessed something like that. Well, maybe next time I'll try chocolate and strawberry. Oh, she said chocolate and raspberry the first time. I was like, well, isn't that the same thing? I'm dumb. Sorry. Maybe next time I'll try chocolate and strawberry. Hey, strawberry's my favorite. What a coincidence. I think it helps to have something to look forward to. I still have the sick feeling in my stomach, but it's easier now to convince myself that I did the right thing. Is there anything better I could be doing? Not that I know of. There's nothing that will make this easy for me. And you already did more than I thought anyone could. Come to think of it, we never talked about the letter you wrote. But I feel like we're way past that at this point. I don't even know what to talk about. Except that I think it helped me understand my needs a little bit better. The way I like to be treated. And the kinds of friends that I want to have. That's why I started coming here in the first place. Even though I was so scared of causing more problems. I thought it was a coincidence that you ran into me here initially. Oh, well, not exactly. What do you mean? Nothing. I may have tracked you down first, with the help of Sayuri. But you said I was shy, okay? I wasn't ready to, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Well, I guess I'm glad that you worked up the courage, even if it was in your own way. I can tell that you've been making a lot of difficult decisions. It's brave, and it will make things better in the long run. I think anyone may be proud of you for it. Anyone? You mean, like you? Yes, like me. You know, I could get used to this. As long as you don't tease me too much. Fine. Just a little, then. That's fine. I know how uncertain everything feels to you right now, but I really do think that good things are in store. Those are my honest feelings. Thanks. It feels nice to be reassured. The two girls continue their conversation through the remainder of lunch, but a new feeling hangs in the air, a feeling of greater certainty in their path forward. In just a few hours, there will be another literature club meeting where the 4 club members will happily spend time together. Each of them, all with their own special qualities, have something unique that they can deliver to one another. Through friendship and literature, the club members will continue to grow and find new happiness together. The end of each chapter is the start of the next. Yuri thinks to herself, since she's about to finish her long-running series, it would be best to have a new book lined up. Perhaps this weekend would be a good time to visit the bookstore. On the way to the ice cream store! Together. Okay, sorry, that was the implication. Splendid! Equals! Okay, there is a last one. Okay, so we have another episode of this coming up. It may be really, really super damn short, but, oh yes, we'll be playing Equals. I really liked how, just like from a cinematographical, that's not a word, is it? Perspective, even though it wasn't, obviously it was just a still shot, but this is just a side note that back there, how, oh, well, why am I doing this when I can, God, Rhea Vorte, Brea Vorte, averages, Ramis, Laco, Sunday, December. God, man. Sunday, December 8th. Oh, 2019, okay. It's not actually taking... Because it actually is December right now. I thought it was taking the actual date. Thank you to everyone who worked so hard on the control simulation. I can't imagine how tedious it must have been to do so delicately hide Monica's elevated permissions from her without disrupting our connection to the VM. Just to clarify, all the recordings labeled side stories are part of the control simulation, right? I'm noticing some details of the characters' lives here and there that differ a little bit from those in VM1, even trivial ones. Is it part of the butterfly effect from some of Monica's more fundamental changes, or is it just a result of her messing around with the other characters in VM1 as her own experiment, or for fun? So I'm keeping track. We have, 5 different universes in total, with 3 or 4 of them created and then totally destroyed by Monica, of course. It's funny because I keep wanting to speculate on which one is the real universe, but in reality, they all are. As real as ours is, anyway.
Rhea Forte, get your bullshit lore out of here. You're going in the spam folder with Eye Blaster. Don't ruin this for me, you heartless, cruel, vindictive block of coal. There we go. So they're like back to back, right? And the thing is called self-love, but also this is a thing that they both come to terms with together. So the fact that they're back to back and not facing each other, or like side to side like it was in this is as back to back as they can be without you not being able to see one of their faces, right? So compared to all the other ones where it would be like there were like the framing is very important of who is sitting where, is my point. And it's really cool the way they did it, because they're sitting back to back here and they both separately learned a lesson about feeling about yourself, but then learn that you can achieve self-love together, blardy-blar. I think that's a cool moment of framing. So here's a question. Again, lots of the questions around this sort of a game like this will be sort of on principle. They have a potential to cut deep, so obviously feel no obligation whatsoever to answer if it's much too personal or anything like that. But was there ever a person who helped you learn to love yourself a little bit? Because it is, as they say, one of the hardest things you can do, and it's one of the hardest things to do, to try and do it again after you've learned to love yourself once, then you learn to hate yourself again, and then trying to love yourself again is just as hard or harder than the first time. Don't get easier. So you could use the support of people every now and then to sort of reaffirm that, and sometimes that's just what all it takes is to set it rolling, is the support of some people. So did you ever have someone who did that for you, even in a small way, like a stranger passing by or whatever? To be clear, because I'm not about to talk about my family, but my family have helped me quite a lot in that way. My family is awesome. But just to come up with a different answer other than my family, because I don't have much to say about that other than they're supportive in lots of ways and throughout my life. So I would have a very vague answer, but like to have a slightly less vague answer, and this sounds so nerdy, now that I'm about to say it actually aloud for my face hole. I had an English teacher in grade 12. It was a creative writing course, and so it was a really intense course. I mean, there were people who would read stuff that would mean quite a bit to them, and they would get up and they'd have to read in front of the class, and they'd get up and start reading and just burst into tears and couldn't do it. But that was part of the class, and you kind of understood that, which is why it was a very good class. And the teacher of that class was she was so awesome. But there were a lot of things that she said and did that stuck into my mind and helped me, and I fall back on sometimes when I'm feeling like the worst. I remember the first I think it was the first day of that class, she made us all write down what you would ever want to achieve with your writing, and then she said go put it somewhere that you will find it in like 10 years, put it in like the back of your wallet or something, and see if you've achieved that by then. And like that was among the many things, but like also just, and she was not like a flip-floppy marker or anything like that. She went hard on like marking and stuff like that, but she was serious in a very kind and supportive and legit way. Like she didn't sugarcoat anything ever. But also whenever I or any one of the other like students would be like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't get the assignment done on time, I'm an idiot or whatever, like I'm sorry, I'm the worst, she would always just be like, hey, you're not an idiot, don't you ever say that again. So there. Grade 12 creative writing teacher helped me gather a little my own self-worth once or twice. So feel free to share with me if share with the class, no, share with everyone else, whatever, in the comments or however, or just say it aloud to yourself at the monitor if you don't feel like writing in the comments or whatever. If you don't feel like doing it at all, don't do it. Do it your own thing. If you ever had someone who helped you find a little bit of that self-love. Yeah, I've been bleeding my heart out this episode, ain't I? Better stop now, it's getting a little embarrassing. Next episode is going to be Tales of Zestiria. Man, it feels like I haven't played that in like a month. We're going to be, it sort of seemed like we were out of the woods with unplaguifying Marland there in that game, but then old Rohan, so he did, said that there was another big old hellion just southwest or southeast of the town, so we're going to be going and investigating and probably hitting that a bunch, and hopefully it doesn't pull a little Zavid action there and kill us 16 times in a row. So I hope to see you in Tales of Zestiria, or any other adventure and game, or just whenever around on the channel some other time. So with that, thank you very much for coming around, and hopefully I will see you around. Admiral's gonna be out of here now. We have the last little thing to do, and it'll be so exciting. Equals peace. Weirdly slow paced this one so far. Nothing's being thrown at me yet in a way that I'm uncomfortable with. All right, platform's going down. This is a little bit tricky to make this. It's because they're very spaced out, but I just have to wait for the right time when something lines up well, like this.